Wow, the Spurs have done it. They have escaped the impossible hole. Now, instead of going down 3-0, they go up, they go down 2-1. And they did take the first game in Madison Square Garden, and it is very, very good. Wembanyama had a very aggressive game. He had early paint touches, and he made those baskets. He overall did a very good job of staying aggressive. Stephon Castle stayed aggressive. Dylan Harper stayed aggressive. Keldon Johnson still didn't have too good of a game, but he still had a decent enough game that you feel good about it. But man, the Knicks tried hard. They tried very hard, but they just started off super slow without Jalen Brunson on the court. They're also very slow. I mean, OG and Obi, man, he had a very good game, and you just couldn't capitalize on it. Um, he played very well. He had, let's see, he had 28 points on 75% shooting. It's no more you can ask for. It was a good game from the Spurs, man. They just played their brand of basketball. There's one thing I do want to look at. I'm not the type of guy that goes straight for fouls or what happened with the fouls, but man, there is some bad looking plays in this game. It's the same plays that happened in the first two games that the Knicks somehow overcame, but they couldn't overcome them. And you know, I, there's that one play that Wemby and Jalen Brunson are at the top of the key, and Wemby just grabs the back of his head and neck and just throws him to the ground, and there's no call. There's a few more calls, like when Stephon Castle played running back and thought Jalen Brunson was a linebacker, and he just ran straight through him, and they didn't call that a foul because there was no windup. But I think in my opinion, Richard Jefferson said it on the broadcast. I think the windup is him running full speed at him, starting to speed up. That there was no avoidance. It was straight. I'm going at your chest, and if I go through you, I go through you. And they didn't get the foul call. Jalen Brunson, and I can't remember if it led to a basket, but man, that's just like if you get that foul call, you stop their offense. You get another possession. You stop their momentum, but that does not happen. And man, just not a good shooting game from the Knicks. Landry Shamet the past two games has been he'll light you up for the couple of threes, but he only made one three and almost fouled out. He only hit five fouls, and he didn't see the rest of he didn't see the court another time after getting that fifth foul. He saw the court maybe like 2 or 3 minutes, but he barely played in the end of the game. Um, Jalen Brunson, man, he could not get another same story from the past two games, but instead in the fourth quarter he doesn't ignite like he has been. Now it is only a 4 point loss. You can count it to a 3 point loss without the foul, but you need the foul. So, very good game from Wembenyama. He showed, he had what 4 points in the first half. He pretty much doubled that in the first 5 minutes of the first quarter. He was staying on the glass. He was staying aggressive. Dylan Harper, man, that is a rookie that plays without fear. If you told me he's a 10-year vet in the league, I'd be like, that makes sense. That he just attacks, attacks, attacks. He crashes the boards, which is what they need. He crashes the boards so well. He had I think 10 rebounds. Most of those coming on the offensive glass, honestly. And you could tell he made a difference. He had 9 boards, most of those offensive boards. Stephon Castle had a very freaking good game, man. 23 points, 5 rebounds, 5 assists, one steal, one block. Shot that big. He made that at the end of the fourth quarter. He hit that dagger three. Just that long range. It's just and the foul. It's just like you wouldn't expect him to make that, but he does. He made it, and it iced the game, man. And then I can't toot the Spurs horn anymore. De'Aaron Fox still didn't have a good game, and they still somehow came up with the W. I think you can blame this win more or less on the aggressiveness. And like I said, I don't want to blame it on the fouls. Like you can overcome the fouls. The Knicks did that 2 games in a row. They were They were getting fouled, and they still overcame it. They couldn't overcome it in this game. A little more egregious. The Luke Cornett foul, I'll give it to him. That maybe it's not a foul, but Stephon Castle, the Wemby foul, I think you have to give that to them. That is a foul. He threw his head to the ground. He tried to dribble his head. That is a foul. Um, Jalen Brunson, man, he needs to make shots. They just seem like they can't do anything on offense, and even when he's on the floor, they seem stagnant. When he's off the floor, they're stagnant. So it's like this high-powered offensive we've been seeing all playoff is just not there. And when they don't make shots, they don't make shots. And I think that's what happened tonight. They didn't make their shots. OG Anunoby was there still. He made his shots, but Josh Hart. This man, I want to give some credit to Josh Hart. Man, he made 4 threes. He's been shooting very bad. I don't think he's made more than 4 threes in total this whole entire playoff run. So it's like this whole entire series has not done that until now. But he did that, and you can't capitalize on that game. It gives me flashbacks to game one of OKC when you get a 31-point bomb from Alex Caruso and you can't capitalize on it, and you feel that. The Spurs definitely came out with a fire. They knew they had to win this game because this is the finals. The Knicks are not a bad team. They're a great team. So you go down 3-0. Nobody's ever came back for a reason. It is hard to win 4 games in a row. It's very, very, very hard against a good team. But congratulations, Spurs. Now let's talk about the Knicks more. Jalen Brunson again, not there. Landry Shamet, not there. Deuce McBride, not there. The only 2 people you had really show up was Cat, OG Anunoby, and Josh Hart. Cat played a great defensive game again. He had a few blocks. Is still overturning, that narrative that he's not a good defensive and offensive player, but he's turning into a very good two-way player, especially against Wemby. He's been doing his best. But yeah, I don't know. I just think the Knicks need to make their shots, and I think if they do that, and they just need to figure out something on offense. Wemby is too scary on defense. That man just standing in the paint deters players. But yeah, that's my thoughts on the game. I'll send it over to Dimitri for his thoughts.
Yo, what's good, guys? It's Dimitri Prince clocking in for the quick reactions post this game. Game literally just ended not even 2 minutes ago. And it was a very close game all the way through. It was a 4 point game. The Spurs won the game. The Spurs beat the Knicks, and most importantly, they beat Madison Square Gardens tonight. And that was a mountain and a hill that they had to overcome. I don't believe the Spurs can go without winning another game in Madison Square Garden. So the fact that they may climb that hurdle in their first tour to Madison Square Gardens in this finals is a very good thing if you're first Spurs fans looking forward. The Knicks had played a phenomenal game. Uh, they had a phenomenal quarter, an almost record setting quarter. They scored 42 points in the second quarter, which gave them the lead going into halftime. The Knicks went on a 35-27 run, and that really allowed them to reign in control. But the halftime adjustments, that was not the same Knicks team that came out during during the first half. They left them in the locker room still. In terms of stats, Wembanyama finished the game with 32 points off of 11 of 18 shooting. He had a phenomenal, easy night. He played his role. He went straight to the basket. His Stephon Castle only missed one free throw tonight. He was extremely efficient in that first quarter. De'Aaron Fox hitting the clutch shot at the very end to extend the lead. Not to mention Stephon Castle icing it with the free throws at the very ends. Uh, but that's not a slight to anybody on New York. Jalen Brunson had 29 points off of 10 of 24 shooting, which is, let's be honest, it's not really up to his standards, but He generated more point. He generated uh the drive that New York needed to stay competitive in this game. When Benyama got his points so efficiently, and it made like Brunson had to work a 9 to 5 just to get the points that he got on the board. Going into this game, I was really concerned about the Spurs continuing to play like this was a one-man show, and they started to play like a team this game. Castle had huge late game threes. He scored 18 points tonight. The Spurs had multiple contributors that had made the timely plays, especially in the fourth quarter in the clutch, like De'Aaron Fox icing that game with that impossible three-point shot that he had. But I'm very pleased to see that the Spurs stopped being a one-man show and are trying to make this a competitive series. The Knicks outscored in the second with 42 points, 27 points in the third, and only 17 in the fourth. The real story of this isn't how what San Antonio scored, is that New York's offense slowed down dramatically when the game tightened up. The Knicks got the game into the clutch time and then suddenly couldn't generate the offense they had throughout that first half. It was fireworks going off in the first half, but as the game got closer to the end, in Madison Square Garden just started to die down. It's almost as if the energy was being sucked away out the place after every missed call, after everything that didn't go their way. And the clutch time, the Spurs finally followed through on what they were supposed to do in the clutch of the game, and that is close the game out when you have the lead. Brunson finished the game with 5 turnovers in a 3-point game. That's massive. De'Aaron Fox had 8 assists with only 2 turnovers, giving the Spurs a much cleaner point guard play going throughout the entire game. The point guard battle wasn't about scoring, it was really about the possession management that happened on the court. And it clearly made the difference in that final stretch, the amount of turnovers and the amount of possessions that were maintained in the end of that game. This was the first time that the Garden had hosted the NBA Finals since 1999. And they had home court advantage. They had a 2-0 series lead, and they led going into the halftime. My question is moving forward or looking back on this game when we choose to reflect on this game is did the Spurs figure out the Knicks or did Victor Wembanyama simply just play like the best player in the world for one night? That question will be determined in game 4, which will be Wednesday, but it was a phenomenal game, a lot of physical basketball and a clutch ending from both sides until we had our final winner, with the series being 2-1 with the Knicks up and the San Antonio Spurs with one game. But that's it, guys. The winner of game 3 was the San Antonio Spurs. Thank you for clocking in with me. I'm Dimitri Prince, clocking out, and you've been listening to the On the Shift podcast.